both Steve and I work in Reboot Technologies, and I'm going to start again. That was terrible, wasn't it? Don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
And action.
Nearly did it. Winchester again then. Right. Just calm down. Just relax. Hi, I'm Gregory J. Baker, and today on Reboot TV we're going to be interviewing the lovely and wonderful CM Parry. And to my right I've got Stephen A. Jakes, who works with me as a neuro reboot technician. There's a series of these interviews, so if you check us out on our YouTube channel you should see other ones, all different walks of life of different people, all ages. Anyway, without further ado, what we're going to be talking about today is CM's journey from when I first met, well I suppose when I first met you, and all the way up to what brought you to do the programme. So today we're going to talk about the programme Genesis, a little bit about the webinar, which is called Reboot Insights, and the middle bit, which is called, or the second stage, which is called Reboot Live. We'll take you up to the programme itself, how that was for you. I'll ask you a few questions on that, and then we'll go to sort of now you know, having done it. I can't. When was it about? Nearly. What was it? A year? And was it nearly two?
Nearly 2 years ago.
Nearly 2 years.
So I think it's like October 2016.
Is that when we went for the garden thing? So blimey. So it's a good year and nearly a year and a half at least. Nearly 2 years. So without further ado, let's crack on. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome, and such short notice. That was very good. So casting back then, I think I met you at some networking events some years ago, probably more like 3.5, 4 years ago, was it?
I think it must have been at least 3 years ago.
And I think I was representing what I do, which is the reboot stuff, although under a different name. Just tell us and the viewers here what sort of led you to come and maybe even start the first step, which is Reboot Insights.
Well, I think I was kind of at a stage in my life where I was feeling kind of in limbo, and I needed to make some changes. And part of that was to do with my work life, part of it was to do with personal life. It was, everything just seemed to be kind of in limbo at that time.
Yep.
And then I met Gregory at, as you said, at a networking group, and was curious to find out more about what this program actually was, because I'd done quite a few self-development, motivational things in the past, and I tend to be a little bit sceptical, because a lot of them, as I've found out, they're really not people who actually want you to get the best out of yourself, or to kind of self-actualise or whatever. They're people who essentially they're gurus and they want followers.
Yeah.
So they're going to mould you into what they think an ideal person should be. So I kind of took it in small steps, didn't I? I think I came to because you used to have the open evenings at the pub.
That's it, yes.
And came along to one of those, and I think there was only me and one other person there, so it was interesting, but it was quite an interesting experience in that I did get to ask some of the kind of searching questions about what the whole procedure involved.
Yes.
Probably there's a benefit to that as well, because by only having a couple of you there, it enables you to really have a proper interaction with Greg, and rather than being a participant, an audience, participation, it was actually you were there as more or less like a one-on-one, I suppose, and it enabled you to ask the real relevant questions that were relevant to you, and able for you then to at the same time be able to answer them in a more personal way, rather than addressing a crowd or an audience.
Yeah, I think that was probably put right. I think absolutely. And so that would have been kind of the seminar stage, like the first. I mean, we call in the olden days. We do a webinar now, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end. Which is, but in the early days we did a seminar. So do you remember what you felt after that? Because I do remember. It was at the Two Brewers, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It was, and I remember you asking me at the end, because I remember what it was, and I remember the distinction. So I talk a lot about each of the stages as a whole and complete. And I remember you said about the live, which in those days was called the workshop. You said, will I have to do the next bit? And I said, absolutely not. They're whole and complete. And then I think you went. Did you go away and think about it for a little?
I think I did. Yes.
You did, didn't you? Yeah, I remember now. And then I think you came back. I don't know, when was it you came back after that? Was it shortly? Was it a couple of weeks or something? Was it a month or so?
I think it was less than that. I think it was less than that because I'd sort of sorted out in my head by then that I did want to.
What was the
do
tipping
something.
point that made you sort of go, do you know what, I'm going to do this? Do you know, can you recall that?
I can't recall exactly, but I think it was the fact that having looked at the material from that initial seminar,
Yep.
that kind of made sense to me because the seminar kind of showed the outline
That's
of
right.
the process, didn't it?
Yep.
It didn't go into detail, but it sort of went into the basics of the distinctions and things like that.
Yeah.
So I could see that this wasn't a kind of, do what I say and you'll be a millionaire overnight or, one of these scam things because it just didn't have the ring of that. It looked like something that was actually going to be useful to me.
So I think thanks for that. So I think for the people watching now, one of the things, it's a webinar now, we call it the webinar. And as I say, at the end, there's a bit more on that. But we cover a couple of things. There's a few things called rules of the game, and they're just really nice little tools and things you can use after the programme, which is why the webinar is whole and complete. But the whole thing of what we do at Reboot is to help you find you. So this isn't about telling you or things. This isn't about you adopting what that works for me. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We help you on self-discover, but properly self-discover, so you really know why you're here and how you do it. And then at the end of the programme, you're able to basically go out, back out into the world, understanding yourself at a much deeper level. In the webinar, we touch on what we call the 7 world balance model, which is a really lovely, neat way of breaking down your life into work or career or business job, whatever, finances, but also things like family, relationships, social. It's often forgotten because humans are built to be social, yet a lot of us spend a lot of time on our own. And we look at the mental and physical health as well as the spiritual aspect. Don't necessarily mean religion, but there might be something out there that's bigger than us. That's connecting us all, and then personal development itself, and looking at that as a sort of a truly holistic, what I call a truly holistic approach, and I think that's probably what I think from what you're saying, the fact that this isn't a dictatorial thing or telling you or forcing things on you, but opening up the idea of investigating yourself.
Yeah.
Is that what? Would that be?
I think that what struck me was that it's very much down to how much you want to put into it and how much you choose to disclose. Because I think if you remember when, at quite an early stage, I disclosed some quite personal stuff to you, and that was it was a risk to me to do that. But if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have got what I have out of the programme.
Well, that's really powerful. I know you probably have something to say.
Yeah, it is really powerful because I think that this whole programme, the success of this and your personal success and how you move on from where you are, how you're stuck, what's going on, all of the stuff that's going on in your life, is that by really actually being able to, and we create that safe environment, there is no judgment in it, is to be able to do that, because those fundamentally are the things that hold us back and the things that block us, and we're frightened to go there, and we always constantly avoid them. By constantly avoiding them all the time, we never get to the core issue of the thing that actually really is stopping us, hurting us, and growing and developing as a human being. We always now seek to avoid by drink, drugs, or some other avoidance mechanism. And so it's really great that you said that, because for me, this only really works if you participate 100% in it and you're committed to making your life better. And so they're the tough things that we have to go and face. But unless you face them, you'll always stay stuck in that that feedback loop, that thing that goes on that's kept you where you are and currently keeping you feeling the way you feel or acting the way you act. And I think it's so important that when you completely commit to it, then that's when the magic happens.
I think that the difference as well is that a lot of other so-called sort of self-development systems are actually quite prescriptive. And, you know, they're not going to advertise that at the beginning. They're going to advertise that, you know, you discover yourself and it's all wonderful. But when you actually get underneath the bonnet of what they do, they are asking you to ignore or suppress or censor certain aspects of yourself, or even tell you that certain aspects of yourself are wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's another avoidance tool.
Yeah.
It's don't deal with the issue. If you start doing this and behaving this and adopting this, then all of a sudden all the shit and the crap that's actually keeping you there will just magically disappear.
But there's a preconceived idea in a lot of self-development circles.
Yes.
Of an ideal human being.
Yes.
You know, it's not explicit, but they're working towards this particular human ideal, and often that is coloured by all sorts of social norms and all sorts of things that they haven't. The people who design those systems probably haven't even acknowledged.
So the people that are telling you not to be a sheeple is actually theoretically getting you to become a sheeple.
Yeah.
It's like
interesting, and I think
anyone who calls you a sheeple is a sheeple. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because when you came to do the programme, I remember having a couple of conversations with you before you did that, because you were really careful that you've spent quite a bit of money, I think, and time over a period of time, many years, in fact, I think, on and off, and nothing was really working, not really making it sustain. And to pick up on what you said a moment ago about the courses are often prescribed, or they're going about the houses, but I think what they're helping you try and do is practice behaviours that work, but they only work if you keep using it, but they're not necessarily, you don't know why you're doing it, you don't know why you, whatever it might be gratitude or whatever it is. But the point is, because you don't know why you're doing it.
Well, that they're closed source, aren't they? They're black box systems.
Yes.
You know, whereas this I like to think of as an open source system.
Oh, I
don't know, you know, whether you're, you know,
that's cool.
how
like
open
that.
you are to get, you know, giving away all your
that.
materials on open access or anything
everyone
like that.
Absolutely.
But I mean, they are, as far as I know. Everyone,
so I've got a high
you know,
five you.
everyone's able to look at this system and see how it works.
Absolutely, it is very.
Reject it if they think it's a load of crap, or
absolutely
accept it, or accept parts of it and not accept other parts.
No,
I totally agree with that as well, actually. And although majority of it does work, there is, you know, for me, that ability to actually either take it on board and use it, or if you choose to turn away from it, really, and only use the bits that are necessary for you. But realistically, it's all about that coming back to being your true authentic self, and all this basically really does is enable you to get back in touch with who you really are and start being who you really are, rather than all the learnt stuff.
That's right.
And a lot of the other stuff, like we're talking about, the personal development stuff, are now all tools to take you away from being who you really are. They're just another behaviour or another belief system or another tool that actually takes you away from actually empowering the real you, and you get further and further and further and further away from it. And the danger of that is the disconnect that you've already got between your authentic self and who you really are actually can become greater and greater and greater. And if we go and look at my interview, that's what happened to me.
And I think that's what happened to you.
I just got further and further and further and further away and think, hang on, I've got all these tools, I've learned all this stuff, but actually I'm feeling a lot more shitter than what I was when I first started the journey. So anyway, I just thought
that's absolutely, I think that that harmonises. You know, I've got that in there.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting issue as well in terms of how your relationships with other people change once you've gone through this process, because I mean, you've probably noticed this as well, that your relationships with some people will actually worsen.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to drag you back to being the person that they perceive you as.
I have nobody anymore.
Yeah.
Well, not from my old circles, really. I don't really have anybody.
Exactly. But the flip side of that is that by being more authentic, the people that you actually want to attract are going to notice that.
In the last 3 months,
it's not a quick process,
no.
But it does happen. It's a gradual process, and it can be quite scary because initially you think, I'm going to lose all my friends.
Yep.
I'm going to lose all my support system.
But then you realise they're not really
your friends. But then you realise they're not.
No, exactly.
No. And those ones who are really supportive are still going to be there.
Yeah, and then absolutely right. And I think for me, in the last 3 months, I went from literally, like we spoke about it in there, like my 9/11 happened, and everybody, literally everybody left me, and I didn't reach out to any of them. But since I've done this program, in just 3 months, the people that I now have in such a short period of time that I'm spending my time with, Gregory, people that he's in, Jonathan, and other people now, they're just such amazing human beings, and I'm just so happy to spend my time with them. It's not a challenge. I don't feel challenged. It's not we all have our disagreements and stuff, and we might not agree on stuff, but it's not a challenge. I'm not having to constantly worry about who's going to nick the next £100,000 off me, or steal my business partners, or there's always an ulterior motive. I can just be really open and honest, because they're the people that now are.
And not fear of being judged.
Yeah, not fear of being judged either, and being able to be totally honest and be about myself and being myself. So
that's liberating.
It is liberating, yeah.
And I've seen, and for those of you at the home, I've known CM now for probably about 3 years, I'd say, and since completing the program, it's like almost every couple of months, I see, you've another layer's come off, and and it's been lovely, and your confidence has got. It's like you say, it's not been necessarily rapid, but it's been it's probably been appropriate, because you're going at your pace, you're changing at becoming more yourself.
Yeah, I think that's actually something else that I've discovered, is that you don't have to change everything at once.
No.
You do things when they're right for you. And
yeah, that's powerful.
You talk about in the program about valid excuses.
Yes.
I'm starting to recognise when I've got a valid excuse.
Yep.
I'm using a valid excuse for not doing something. And I think, well,
yeah.
Is it that I don't, I can kind of apply that and think, am I using a valid excuse, or is it genuinely not the right time for me to do this?
Powerful.
That's powerful.
You've seen that one decision that I made recently, that I did decide it wasn't the right time for me to do it.
Yep.
There was an element of valid excuse, but it wasn't just that.
Yes, absolutely, and that's powerful. So CM talks about valid excuses. So on the webinar, you'll see, if you join us on the webinar or come to a pre-sites, which is a informal chat at the pub, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but not in this interview.
No.
Excellent. So taking you up to, going from, I remember you coming to do the workshop, and then I don't remember whether you booked there and then. I can't remember. Did you book on the day, or did you?
I don't think I did.
I don't think you did you?
No, I didn't,
No.
because I think we had a discussion about payment, didn't we, and how the payment was going to work.
Yep.
So I think I went away and thought about that, and then came back to you. It must have been about a week later. It wasn't very long.
No, it wasn't long.
It wasn't very long between those two.
So for the viewers, would you say we're fairly I wouldn't say adamant, but we're strict that we don't try and sell this. What we do is we educate and share what we have, and that our goal is to help you be you. And we have the 3 stages. As I say, the first stage is the webinar, the Reboot Insights, and it's an eye-opening kind of where you're at, sort of stake in the ground, and you get an idea, and that's whole and complete on its own. And some people go off and they do their own thing, and they might go off and get some hypnotherapy, or might not do anything, or whatever. Those people that think that it feels about right. So we don't talk about right or wrong in Reboot. We talk about, you have a sense that it feels right. We don't preach. And then you did the what is now called the live. We called it a workshop then. And then I know you were concerned with being sold to. I remember that on a couple of occasions, and I'm fairly certain I was sensitive to that, in the fact that this isn't. I think I said to you this. I remember actually saying to you after what is now the Insights. I remember saying, look, this is something that you need to choose for you. This has got to sit right in yourself. So we don't. Again, if you're watching this video and anything's resonated with you or sounds familiar up to now or towards the end, this is up to you. It's your choice. If you're ready for transformation, or you're ready to start the process of transformation, it's your choice, and that's the most important part of this. This has got to come from you. When in the early days of me doing this, I was quite convincing. I could probably rent snow to Eskimos over and above selling it. But that's not how this works. This is about your choice, and you'll make your decision. So, I think I sensed that, and that was what gave me
confidence that it wasn't a scam.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a sense of, give me a credit card now and then,
and get one free by the end of next week. If you order one now, you get a free packet of lard.
Yeah, or there's a discount or anything like that.
Yeah, there's a discount if you pay immediately, and then tomorrow it's all the discount will have gone.
No, we don't do that because it's not about that. This is about you being you. So then, if we then fast forward a little bit to you actually coming to do the program, do you remember your program?
I do remember my program, and I wasn't feeling very well because I had a cold.
Mm-hmm. I just want to point out that everybody that does the course is always apparently ill just before they do the course.
Yeah.
So it's sort of some.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's something like your body's
you're
preparing
because I don't want to
something.
change. That's it. No, and it will go right. You're ill. I was the day I remember I did it. I mean, I was like, I'm really, really tired. I was like,
unless you were talking about something you loved, your energy poked it.
And then I went back in, and then we had Adil, like the day before he did it. He got strep throat, and he was really ill. And you were saying that you were quite ill as well. So,
and do you get ill often?
No, not really.
No.
No.
So
neither do I.
So you got
ill.
So you came around. Do you remember the first day? So you got any recollections of your first day of this is the 4-day program. In your day, it was 3 days, I think. I think
it was 4 days.
We did do 4 days.
I think it was 4 days.
Do you remember your first day arriving there, and what you're feeling like, and how your first day went with all the tools and the life hacks and things?
Yeah, I remember obviously still feeling a bit nervous.
Yeah.
But by that time, I'd done the workshop, and I knew that I kind of peeled off one layer, and I didn't want to leave it there because there were layers that needed to be peeled off underneath that. And I think I know you said some people do just do the workshop and that's it.
Yeah.
But I just felt that I kind of scratched the surface, and I wanted to, complete the process.
That's interesting, isn't it? So, the day one then, you come along, a bit nervous, got a cold, sniffles. I'm starting to recollect it now. Then what do you remember your first day and how you found that? Don't worry if you don't.
I remember writing lots of stuff on big
flip charts,
sheets of paper, flip charts, and flip charts all over the wall. And at that time, it was in your flat, wasn't it?
It was.
And there's a big poster. What I remember, this big poster for the film Alfie.
Oh yeah,
and I thought, maybe that's it. What's it all about?
That's quite clever. I never
there
even
was some
noticed
sort of
hidden subliminal message.
Hidden subliminal message. Yeah.
It was just I liked the poster and it was covering up a hole.
Can I just ask? Was there any? Can you remember any of those distinctions exercises that really stuck out and had a massive change in you, your worldview, your life, whatever? Because I know that when I done it just recently, there was 2 or 3 for me that were absolutely life-changing. That's like cracking a walnut with a sledgehammer. It just literally cracks my brain, just going, oh my god, shit. Like everything I've learned, everything I've known is actually fundamentally flawed or wrong, and I've been going about living like sort of the wrong way, or perceiving it to be one thing when it isn't. And it was really revealing, and I will say life-changing for me, because it shifted my whole understanding of where I was, who I'd become, how I'd got there, what I was doing, and realising what weren't working for me. And they were really very simple, but also quite powerful.
I think the wells, I found that quite powerful.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That kind of brings up areas where, you've got it in your head that this is all right. I don't need to worry about that area of life. And then suddenly you do the wells, and you realise, no, actually that well's almost empty.
But it's really funny you should bring that up, because we had Vernon yesterday, and he did and said exactly the same thing as you.
So that was quite eye-opening, and because what we're then discovering.
But what you're doing is you just shut it. You're putting it on the back burner because you don't really want to think about it, and you're telling yourself it's okay.
Yeah, and lying to yourself, and also focusing on maybe the one thing
it
that
does.
You think
It really does force you to be scrupulously honest with yourself. This process, which is why it's probably not for everybody. If you don't really want to examine yourself, it's not for you.
Which is sad, really, because we're all here to live a journey, and from day dot we're programmed to not be us. we're programmed from the day we come out not to be our true authentic self and to fall into the rat race, slave-driven society trap thing. Not everybody, but it's sad because this sort of does actually bring you back to rediscovering who you are and then able to start living the life that you actually come here to actually live. And I think it's just the programming and the social construct and the education, whatever it is, I don't know, but all of us move away from it to the point where we are so disconnected from it that we have a break.
But also,
break
this
down.
programme doesn't tell you what you should want.
No.
I mean, again, you can contrast this with some other programmes that say, you know, oh, you shouldn't want a yacht and a Ferrari. That's wrong. That's materialistic.
Yeah.
You should want to go and live and meditate in a cave in Tibet for the rest of your life. Well, you know, you might do this programme and decide that you do want the yacht and a Ferrari. Stop
meditate
living in a cave in Tibet.
Yeah, very
absolutely.
good. Yeah.
So if that's what you want, fine.
Yes.
That's a really powerful distinction, because what we're doing is understanding what's important to you, not what's important to your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your daughters,
Your friends, what your friends think.
boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever. That's really powerful. That is. Thank you for that, because it's because you things like that saying you shouldn't want that. That's materialistic. Well, that's drilling you in guilt when actually you really might want one, and you might do some amazing things with that yacht or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that was a really powerful distinction. So thinking about sort of the middle of the programme and towards the end of the programme. So the middle of the programme, if you might remember, was uncomfortable, which is...
It's all kind of blurred into one now. I just see it as like a process. I don't remember day 1, day 2, day 3, anything like that.
That's probably a good thing. I
remember the 1+1.
Oh, the 1+2.
1+2 was it? Yeah.
That was the one for me.
Yeah.
That was do you know I was talking about the exercises that shattered me? No, I said the sledgehammer and the walnut. It was the 1+2 that broke my walnut and opened me up and was like, oh my God, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So
that was the one for me.
So we do an exercise which is called 1+2, and it's
a bastard.
It's horrible, and I make it more horrible because I kind of wander around as if nothing's wrong, while you, the participant, are getting more and more angry, upset, annoyed, resilient, frustrated.
It wasn't really that done that for me.
Right.
It was the actual result of it. So we spoke in another interview.
Right.
When I looked up and we were doing the exercise, and at the end, through the process, you're asking where are you right now, and you'll write down where I am, what I'm thinking, where I am, what I'm thinking, what's going on for you right now, until I finished the exercise. But then when we went back and read all of those things that I'd said,
that we documented
through that process, it literally what I was doing, step by step, every single day, to absolute precision. And that is when I just sat there for about half an hour going, I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
You feel like a bit of an idiot, really.
Yeah, you do. I do that every day. And then I get to that point and I go, oh, this is not working for me. It's all, and I sabotage it. And then I go back and I start it all over again. And I realised that I was doing it. I've been doing that every day for as long as I can remember.
But what that does is it breaks down the ego.
Yes.
That's the point of that exercise.
Every time you educate us
on
something.
It's great.
Sorry, I've got to high five you. So I have to say this about CM. I love beating CM because every time I learn something new. It's about 4 things today.
Yeah.
I did 4 right there.
Wow.
And it breaks down the ego. That's exactly what it does. So it's a very, very powerful, we might even call it the ego model, because it's so powerful. It really puts you in your place as I'll tell you what the other result.
It cracked me open and said, I don't know anything anymore. This is really powerful. I surrender to this process.
Do you know? And I've just worked this out on live on camera, if you like. That's linked to judgment. So your ego gets shattered, so is your capacity to judge. I mean, you still have a capacity to judge, and you'll still have a little bit of ego, but instead of being 100 out of 100, it's down to 3 or 4. Yeah. So that's really powerful. So that was Distinction live on camera.
Yes.
So, okay, so you did remember that. A lot of people remember their 1+2. I've had about 10 people have it laminated. So if you're intrigued by that, then write in or whatever, and we can tell you a bit more about that. So then, the outcome of the process is your vision and your mission. So I'm going to hand over to Steve to explain what we mean by this idea of your vision and your mission in your brain.
Thanks, mate.
You're welcome, because I know you love me to put you on the spot.
Yeah, put me on the spot. Okay, so so we have a blueprint. Yeah, so when we're born, we are given a blueprint of our existence. We have a unique set of skills, talents, and an innate way of who we are from the time we're here. And what happens is from day dot, your parents will then project their problems, their issues they've had in their life, and whatever their beliefs are, and so does your close family, and then the school will do it, and then the people that you go to school with, you'll copy them because you'll see things working for them, and that will become a behaviour. And then you'll go more and more this going on all the way through school, and your pop idols and your pop stars and your football heroes, or your, you know, whoever it is, your TV stars, your film stars, all these things that we copy. And by the time we get to the age of 21 or so, we're so far removed from who we really are. And so we're now
that might
not
sound familiar, by the way.
we're now not living the life that we came here to do, our blueprint. We've now learnt all of this stuff. And so what the vision is we take you back to, or get you to understand who you really are, and actualise it and give you it well, pretty much in writing.
Yeah, it's articulating.
Articulating, that's the word I'm looking for. Articulating exactly what it is that you're here to do. And then also as well, is there's an old saying, is the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so each one of us has a specific way that we'll address and deal with any problem, and we do the same process for everything, whether it's for somebody else or for ourselves. We do it exactly the same way in our head. And what the course has been able to uncover and discover is that we can actually pull that out of you and give that to you. So what will happen is that you will actually realise how you do everything in your life. You don't know it now, but you will.
With clarity.
With clarity, absolute precision. So when you put that to how you are and who you are and why you've come here, and you know exactly how you do what you do, the two together become very, very powerful. And that really is the true, authentic self. So you no longer need to think you want to be a football player, or you want to be a magician, or you think you want to be an accountant, or whatever it might be. You'll actually know pretty much what it is, who you are, and why you do what you do. And so we take you literally back to before any of your crap and all of your experiences have ever happened, and then reconnect you with that, but bring that way of being into the present moment. So I hope that understand that.
Can I just throw something in here? Because
Yes.
I just want to say, there may be people watching this who think, well, this rings warning bells. It sounds kind of religious. It's like predestination, that your life's somehow mapped out at birth, and that there's some intrinsic essential self.
Yes.
And I think it's fair to say that a lot of people don't actually accept those beliefs. You can actually use this as, I see it as a mental model.
Yeah.
Because I tend to be a belief as mental model kind of person, rather than a belief as faith kind of person.
Yes.
If that's a distinction that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually, the process doesn't actually require you to believe anything. Would you say that? Would you agree with that?
Oh, that's interesting.
No, the only thing that
it's like there's a saying about there are people who go out and look for the meaning of life.
Yes.
And there are people who give their life a meaning.
Yes.
And this is about giving your life a meaning.
Right.
Yes.
So
fantastic, absolutely spot on, brilliant.
That's what I love to hear. So
Maybe you should start doing these.
I was going to say you should.
That's what I'm saying. I'll be quite happy to sit and be on the sidelines watching someone. This is great stuff.
So
Really good.
I think what the distinction there is, put another way, is that what it does is it will have as we go through the process, it will have a sense of that what works for you, and you'll start piecing together what works for you. So you'll actually create a whole new set of beliefs, but you're creating it. So a bit like what you said. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, they're kind of meta beliefs. They're beliefs that you accept as beliefs, but you can use.
And that that
They're
work for you,
beliefs.
and it gets rid of those
And
beliefs.
it's an alignment with who you really are as
That's
well, a little bit.
which is what the program used to be called, alignment.
Yeah.
So that's really powerful distinction, and we've captured that on camera, which is even better. So, do you remember so you then got your vision and mission? Do you remember after that? My brain's gone onto the wacky video we did a few weeks later. But do you remember how things changed for you after that, either quickly or progressively? Can you start remembering how the shift for you, I suppose?
I remember having it printed out and putting it up on the wall and looking at it, and I kind of tried to get into almost like a meditation routine of looking at it at a particular time of day, and then I realised that wasn't really working because it was always there, and I actually still have it. It's next to my PC of my in my office. So whenever I do anything, I can now look at that and think, you know, is this working towards that?
This is really good because that's a great question. And what was just because I just had a little moment here. So when right at the very beginning, Greg talked about the limbic and the neo, and how the thinking and the feeling. And what happens is that when you get that vision and mission thing, as soon as we get it, we start trying to use it with our neo, with the neo, the thing that we're told that doesn't run the show. We try and actually then use it. But this whole vision and mission thing and this whole blueprint is actually just understanding it and letting it run unconsciously. So you now do it anyway without really thinking about it, without actually having to think, oh, this is what I do and I'm going to do it this way.
I think that's what I realised. It's not like a magic bullet. It's not like, okay, I've got this and this is going to solve all my problems.
No,
it's not the holy grail.
No.
Yes.
Because it's something that takes time to kind of bed in, if you see what I mean.
Absolutely. Well, it's like riding a bike or driving a car. It'll take a while to get going before it becomes automatic. Absolutely. We talk about that in the programme.
Yeah.
So now I've seen you. We meet up. I'd say, I was going to say regularly, but infrequently. Is that a thing, or is it frequently or irregular? It's probably frequent and irregular.
Probably, yeah.
Probably
frequently irregular.
It's frequently irregular. And I personally see a change every time I see you, and it's either with maybe a relationship with your mum or your personal relationships. Work's always is a thing for you that's you're still searching for that, and I know we need to speak to a certain David about that, not you, David. But you know, there's been some. What would you say?
I've made a decision about that actually.
Oh, you have. Okay.
I won't go into that now.
No worries. Okay.
But I was going to update you on that.
Good. Well, all right. Well, we'll do that a bit later. So, what would you say? Some of the one or two key things that you've had since your reboot have been something that's made a real difference in your life for the better.
I think the difference that it's made to me is primarily that I'm more honest with myself. I don't hide from myself, and I'm less able to fool myself about the motives for doing things.
So what I'm hearing there is a liberation or a freedom.
Yeah.
So if people are listening to this and might feel stuck or trapped or something, and they're telling themselves one thing but really feel a different thing, what you're saying is you're not now telling yourself this different thing. You're actually saying, do you know what? I do want pink nail varnish, and I do want a rude tattoo on the back of my legs.
Or a yacht.
Or
I do want to go meditate in Tibet.
But it's about actually just being true to yourself and actually going, do you know what? And taking away the judgment that whilst everybody else might disagree with that, what you want to do, actually it's who you are and what you want to do. So I'm actually going to do. I will get that tattoo, or I will start to go hip-hop dance classes at 50, or what? Do you know what I mean?
You remove the judgment, right? You don't care anymore.
You don't care.
For me,
not in a bad way. Don't care.
No,
you just don't take on board their
I don't
opinion.
care what you think, because that's not. You haven't got a clue. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I like. I know because for me, I didn't ever do anything because I was worried about what that person would think. So I'd have somebody say, "Yeah, you should do that," and someone say, "Don't do that," and I'd get confused. Oh, I don't know what to do now. So because I'm worried about the judgment. So now, for me, I don't care anymore. I just do what I know, what feels right, and I'm happy to do it. And if you're not happy for me to enjoy that or do that, then really I don't want you around, and I'm not going to even worry about it, and I don't care anymore what you think. And that's liberated
does that person
me.
actually want you to be happy, or
Correct.
do they want you to fit the image that they have of you?
Yes.
Another powerful distinction. Do they want you to be happy, or so?
Fit the image that they have of you. I think is an even more powerful distinction.
Yeah, fit the image they have of you. Yeah, because then you're trying to behave in a way that continues to fit that image you have. And you'll be an even more.
You're living their version of you.
You're living their version of you. If that sounds familiar, then perhaps check out at the end of this video some of the options that we've got. So that's quite powerful. So I'm sensing a liberation and a freedom from your own self, really, because it's our own self that put these. And so, how's that been for you on a say day-to-day basis? Let's put you on the spot.
I think it's made me possibly calmer.
Oh, okay.
And it's freed me from the kind of the wishful thinking that, someday when XYZ happens, everything will be wonderful. And I think a lot of people have that in the back of their heads.
Wow.
and that is actually something that keeps you from taking action. Because we like to have the Holy Grail there. We like to daydream.
Well, I think
and
you
so
touched...
when I do this, when I win the lottery, when I lose weight, or when I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever, I'm going to be happy. And it doesn't work like that. I think that what I've learned from this is that nothing's an overnight process.
Yeah.
And
that's
I think
okay.
you mentioned that, the way that people see you changing, and they will see it as a sudden overnight change, and it's not.
Yep.
It's something that's been under the surface for a long time.
Yep.
They see the tip of the iceberg, and
Yep.
only you know
that actually,
what the whole of the iceberg is.
And that applied to you, everyone, and yourself.
And I think also that goes back to
I
lost something really important. I was going to say what you said, but I've lost it.
But
the thing going back to what you said was, it's like about it's a slow process, and I think that's because inherently, before you do this, everything's got to be now, and it's got to be about self-gratification.
Yeah.
And so that's the social construct that everybody's programmed to have and be. And so this is the complete opposite of that. And then all of a sudden you realise that it's okay to have a bit of time, and it's okay to, to the best wines take a lot longer to mature.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's different from a lot of other systems that will promise you overnight transformation.
Yeah.
Because they'll hook into that because that's what everyone wants.
Yeah, because it's instant, quick. It's going to be
instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Yeah.
So on that note, we could probably say that we promise you that you will get transformation long. And people talk about long lasting. This is not from our experience. I mean, we can't promise this, but it seems to be permanent. My reboot happened in 2011 in November. And to this day, I'm still getting transformation. I'm still getting benefit. But we talked about this on a previous interview. Is that you get to a point in your life. I mean, a lot of people that do this program tend to be in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And what you find is you get to a point where you're on this steady decline, as if you've peaked or something like that. When you do this,
and nothing's going to change,
or it's either like this.
I
is
am
as
the
good
way
as
I am. This is it. It's
Yeah.
all what happened to me. I'm never going to change how I feel. This is it now. I've peaked,
and so it's like the steady decline.
Yeah.
And it's just about occupying your time. What I've noticed we've had 43 people do the program, and it seems from those, I mean, some of them have gone abroad and done different things, but those that still keep in contact, there's a common theme, which is that rather than a steady decline, you get this steady incline. So it almost changes the trajectory of your course from a steady decline. So all of a sudden, things become possible where they weren't possible. Things where you killed dead, you actually give life to. Your friends circle starts to change. I mean, I know
Totally.
My friends that I have around me now are just the depth of care that I have with them. I know the bunch that I have now, they're going to be for life, whether I don't see them for a year or a month or 2 years, or whether I see them every day. I know they're going to be around for a long, long time. And
what it does is it allows you to be okay with you.
yeah, it does. It's just very lush. And each day, this is the thing I think, is that you get more okay in your skin.
Yeah.
You get more okay. I don't know if you find that.
Yeah.
And because it's nice and steady, it's not too overwhelming. It's like anything. If you think about water and the rock becomes smooth over time. It's not overnight. And this is, I think, what happens with this. But rather than a steady decline, it's a steady incline. And it's all areas of your life. Love, friendships, family,
Just your own health, well-being,
health,
happiness, your social circle, the experiences you have, just everything about it.
And I think
that's no fear.
I mean, it's not to say that you won't have ups
No,
and
no, I
downs,
agree
you
with
won't
that.
have blips, but
I agree with that.
life.
What I've found is that things that would have absolutely destroyed me and had taken a long, long time to get over before I did this, now it's a quicker process.
Yep, and you can see
And
it
it
getting
doesn't
quicker and
affect
quicker
me
and quicker.
quite as badly.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say...
So the impact's lower. Sorry, the impact's lower, and you're getting over it quicker. And is there a trend that's even getting quicker and quicker? And
I think so.
yeah. Don't if it's not that, because I noticed for me, I have less episodes of reaction, and when I do, I repair quicker. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is that because of the process now, for me, is all the things that I was having, all my stuff that was happening to me was because of the person I was being and the people that I had in my life. Now they've all gone, I've got hardly any issues to deal with apart from my doing day-to-day stuff, which to me now is actually quite. I understand that you know you're going to get stuff happen and things happen and that, but for me that was a huge thing for me because I saw an instant change in my whole life and an instant change in my happiness and well-being because I no longer had all of these people in my social circle or in my circle. So therefore, straight away, I was liberated from all of that and I never had any of this stuff to worry about. So for me, it was a really big thing for me because that I no longer have that stuff in my environment at all. And that's just like, for a while, you were a little bit, well, shit. How do I live without having crap firefighting every day
without drama?
Without drama, yeah.
So that's another thing that that's a really good point. Also, you're getting to see that whilst there is a lot of common things that people get out of the program, there's a lot of diverse things that get out of the program because people's lives are different. Some of you might have an abundance of friends around you, an abundance of things, and no time at all to yourself. Some of you might have all the time in the world and everything in between. So your experience will be different afterwards because what happens is you realise from this. And this is probably one of the most powerful things you'll ever get from the program, is that you are the cause in the matter. And not only are you the cause in the matter, if you are the cause in the matter, then that means you're the cause in the matter of things that go wrong, as well as things that go right. And because the outcome of the program is that you know why you're here, all of a sudden you won't want to be the cause in the matter of things that don't work for you. You might be a little bit, need a little bit of hand-holding, and we're there after.
It does take a little while.
Yeah, it does take a little while because it's almost like you've started to learn to walk again.
To stick up for yourself, to not allow people to talk to you or treat you in a certain way, or behave in a certain way towards you, or have an expectation of you anymore. And you've got to say, well, hang on, this just doesn't work for me. And so but when you've been very, very people-pleasing and very, very a pacifier, to actually shift from that to be brave enough to say, no, hang on a minute, it's a big step, and you do need a little bit. I was there, but over a period of time now, I can now do it comfortably without overreacting and stuff in it, and just going really was just backing up what you were saying.
Absolutely, and I'll just sort of add there. I mean, for one, I used to be a bit of a bully. Sometimes, well, not a bit of a bully. But when I wasn't a bully, I was the opposite. I was being bullied, and what I realised was I was attracting bullies, and I was the bully. Now my bullying's gone from 100 to probably 5 or 6.
100.
Thank you.
No, I'm only joking, mate. And he's getting beaten up every 5 minutes.
But that's it. You notice those patterns.
Yeah, you do.
Notice kind of the roles that you're automatically falling into.
The scripted roles, absolutely.
When you're dealing with certain people in certain situations.
Absolutely. So, like maybe a parental thing, like I get on with my dad much better now because because as much as I was accusing him of being the bully, I was being the bully as well. So it was both. There's always 50-50 what you're doing as well. So the outcome is you will get that you are the cause in the matter. And what that will do is what that means is that your experience of life you really are in the driving seat of that experience of life. And so what that does mean is things that don't work for you can start to work on and be the cause of that. Doesn't mean it will happen overnight. It took me about 3 years to get closer to my dad, but once I did, the relationships. It's a real sturdy platform to work towards. Up until then, I mean, I'm 45 now. It was only when I was about 42 that I've really connected with my dad. So there's always hope. And he's in his 70s, and he's now just only getting on with me. And it was as much my fault as his. So anything's possible at any age.
I think also when you do life change, I had a really bad drug problem, I had a really bad drinking problem, I had a really bad gambling problem, and I used to smoke. Now I don't have any of that. Any of it. I don't do any of them. I don't smoke anymore. I do drink very, very rarely. The odd pint. But what I found is that when I stopped doing that, the people that were close to me that were still doing those things, all of a sudden stopped doing it. So now I've got friends now that are no longer smoking. I've now got friends that have given up drinking for 4 months. I've now got friends. Now these are people that, I'm not saying that's indirectly down to me, but when you improve yourself and you do that for you, it does actually affect the close people around you, and it does empower them to look after themselves, and you can actually help them change their life just by you changing yourself.
And that's what's happening. So that's what's happened with me and my parent. Well, certainly my dad and my friends. But Gandhi said, if you want to make change in the world, you've got to start with yourself.
Yeah.
And I always replace that. If you want to make change in your immediate circle, you've got to change yourself.
Yeah.
This isn't about. And no one wants to be changed. Nobody wants to tell you. You don't want to be told what to do as much as I don't want to be told what to do. So it's the same for everybody. So have you got any sort of finishing things you'd like to add on anything? And no's okay, but is there anything else you think you might like to add that might be valuable to somebody watching this?
Well, I think what I'd like to say really is that it is an ongoing process. It's not something that finishes when you've done the programme.
Yeah.
Because, that I've had insights into, some quite major insights.
Absolutely.
A long time after I did the programme.
Yep.
And it's something that does stay with you. It kind of embeds itself into you.
So you could almost say, I echo that. For me, it grows. So it adds and adds and adds. So it's kind of like, it's like a buffet. It's like a personal development buffet. You keep coming back for more. And
it's very difficult to actually say how powerful and how useful and how amazing it really is unless you've done it.
Exactly.
It's very difficult to verbalise it unless you've actually. And I've got to say, I just feel so fortunate that I've been one of only 43 people that have actually done this. I've got to say, I absolutely feel blessed that I've been able to do that, because of what it's done for me. But I also feel blessed that I'm now part of it. For someone like Greg to even ask me to be part of the company, the business, whatever you want to be part of the course, whatever it is, I feel blessed, and so I'm really fortunate. I feel so fortunate about that.
We're fortunate.
Yeah.
And I think it says a lot that a lot of the people who've done the program. I know you said some of them have moved abroad and you've lost touch with them, but a lot of people who've done the program have chosen to stay in touch with you, haven't they?
They have. I'd say most, a good 30 odd actually. Just this by the end of the 2 weeks, we'll have interviewed about 8 or 9 people.
Yeah, and they were literally, we'll
That's
do it
nearly a
like
quarter.
you. We spoke to you 2 hours ago, and someone's fallen out today because she's not well, bless her, and I hope you get well soon. But you were quite happy to come and do
But that's the thing. I think it's a testimony that they've chosen to do that. It's not like some kind of cult
didn't even
where
think that.
oh, you've got to come and check in with me at certain, regular periods.
If you do
of
the
time
course,
or
you must do 2 interviews.
No, it's not like that at all.
No, it's not.
No, everything's. So, any final parting words, either of you?
No, I just want to say I think you're an amazing individual.
Thank you.
I think you are absolutely. Your insights into stuff is phenomenal, and I think you've got a great take on what it is and how. And what's brilliant is how you've integrated it into your life and how you observe all of these changes and you go with the ups and the sways of it and seeing insights all the time. And I think you're a credit. I think you're an absolute credit to yourself. So, and thanks for coming along and doing the interview with us because it's.
Thanks for inviting me, and thank you both for this service and
You're welcome.
this fantastic programme.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, that's appreciated. Yeah. So, final thoughts. I'm going to put Steve on the spot again. There's 3 different things you can do from after this now.
Yeah, there is. So, first of all, we have a quiz. That quiz has been cleverly designed for you to take. It only takes a few minutes. All you need to do is go on to www.reboot.uno, take the quiz, and what that will do is that will expose roughly where you are in your life purpose and what we talked about earlier on about having a mission and vision and mission, and that will tell you about where you are. And it might be in a case where actually it could be the right time for you to take the next step and maybe come along to the next thing which we do, which is our live webinar. So you can sign up to the webinar, and that's a 2-hour webinar. Just need a laptop or a phone with a camera, because we may need to interact with you. In that, there's a whole load of stuff and life hacks and explanations about what goes on as part of the course, and some really good information there. It's like Greg says, it's whole and complete on its own. You can come along and do that, and it may be enough for you to just go off and implement that into your life.
And the link is around the video for that one. The webinar is called Reboot Insights.
Yeah, Reboot Insights, and we also do a open discussion group at a local pub in Chelmsford. It's the 2 Brewers, funnily enough, and we have that there for a few hours where you can just come along, off the cuff, to come and speak to myself and Greg. It's normally between about 6 and 8 on every fortnight, and you can come and ask us questions about the course, ask us anything in particular about how it affects people, or what impacts it has before, after, during, if you didn't get anything from this interview. Or it might be you just got an issue you just want to discuss with us that we might be able to help you with. And if we can't help you, we've got a vast amount of very expertise around us that we can point you in that direction. So that's every fortnight at the Two Brewers.
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday evening, yep. And so feel free to pop along and have a chat there.
And you can go on to Eventbrite and search Reboot events or Reboot. So without further, I think that's it really.
I think that's it, yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. Hope and as I say, if any of those things, anything discussed today resonated with you, either watch some more videos or come along, do the quiz, the webinar, or
come and look at our Facebook page. It's Reboot Your Life, or you'll be able to see some videos on there, some content, and get in contact with us through the Facebook page if you need to.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, CM.
Thank you.
And hope to see you another time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.